What's up, everybody? Happy Saturday to you. I hope that you are doing well. Unplanned live stream. Whew, I had a really relaxing day. I really did. When God say, take that seventh day and rest and chill and do it unapologetically, you need to take that mandate seriously and just do what the Lord tells you to do. But I'm up and I'm functional, trying to organize my house and try to get rid of more stuff because I feel like during the holidays, my kids' room tends to acquire more stuff. The house tends to acquire more stuff, and we do appreciate the love. But it's just organizing everything, and I like to be ahead of the game on that. So, yes. But anyways, I hope that you all have enjoyed this week. There was a couple of things that caught my attention. You said my name is not Whoopi Goldberg, and if you come over here calling me anybody but who I am, you will get unapologetically. So I'm gonna give you one warning. You can walk your ass away from this chat right now or this live stream. You can get blocked or you can play ball with how we do things over here. We don't accept trolls over here. You will get embarrassed. And you over here calling me Whoopi Goldberg, and you probably over there looking like Ratatouille. So shut your ass up. All right? We're going to rebuke you demons if you come over here trolling. All right? If everything you're for, I don't even know what you're talking about, Paul, but just let's stick to the topic, and then you can chime in with something else later, but I don't deviate. This is why I don't look at the chat, because you always got people coming up in here trying to control your stream, and you can't let people do that. So anyways, we're going to stay on course here. When I've been catching my up on my feeds, and I caught this channel. I'm not even going to attempt to describe this channel's name. It's in a different language, but they are reposting a Senate hearing. And it was an interesting hearing. It's about 16 minutes long. The date on this is November 29th, 2024, but I'm not sure if this hearing took place anytime before then, but I thought the content of the hearing was very important and very interesting because they are talking about a bill that sort of further reinforces insider trading limitations on people in Congress and different branches of the government, which I think should happen. Okay. So you said free Diddy. If you come over here trolling about Diddy, let me get into my chat so I can just hide a couple of people in here, because what you're not going to do is come up in here trolling like you own shit over here. This is my channel. We're not talking about Diddy right now. You're not going to troll coming up in here calling me anything other than my name and talking about that free Diddy shit. All right? You go do a whole talking life. About that free Diddy shit. Hold on. All right? Let me just you go do a. All right, that's me. Now I can hear myself cussing these people out. All right, so let's get your ass out of here because you want to be trolling. And this will be the outcome for all of you demonic trolls, because we don't do you over here. All right. All right, back to what I'm talking about. So caught this conversation. It's about 16 minutes long. Fanciful. It's a problem. And you got Josh Hawley here, and he's really doubling down on this bill to restrict people in Congress from owning certain stocks. He's basically, saying like, look, people are coming here, they're getting rich. They're not working within the American people's interest. They're working within the interest of their pockets, and a lot of them are privy to information that the public does not have. We've always had insider trading laws, and they have applied to everybody in this nation indiscriminately, no matter what branch of government or who you are. The laws are the laws. It's against the law to engage in insider trading. We saw Martha Stewart, a whole homemaker, get sent to federal prison because she was insider trading. So I think most people who have some level of common sense, there's a couple of things you don't even have to be knee deep in the finance world to kind of understand the reoccurring red flag things that you just really should not do. So insider trading is one of them, right? And what's another thing? Insider trading is one of them. Money laundering, right? Check fraud. These are your usual suspect things that most people, even at the minor education level, understand well enough not to engage in without certain consequences, right? People are more intelligent than you want to give them credit for, just like children are. So these guys are debating this bill, and some people have a problem with this bill because they say, well, this is too strict. Senator, I think this is Ron Johnson, he's stating the case, well, if you've already owned stock before you were elected, you should be able to hold those positions. You can't buy or trade anything at that point of, you're sitting in your position. He said, but you should still be able to own stock. Now, Josh Hawley, and some of these people, they're like, no, because we're privy to a lot of insider information, and a lot of people are getting rich off of this information because they're actively trading on this information. And so Josh Hawley, it's like you look at Nancy Pelosi, you look at Nancy Pelosi's net worth in comparison to what she actually makes. And even though Nancy Pelosi is a fossil in Washington, she's been there forever, it's still not reconcilable that her net worth is as high as it is. And obviously, looking at what Nancy Pelosi's husband does, that is a bit of a red flag that I think, should be on the table because it's not fair. Like they will, and I always tell people, like, shoot, like Nancy Pelosi, I mean, I want to see the public records of her portfolio at all times. At all times, I want to see Wall Street Nancy's portfolio. We should have access to that information, and we should be able to see what Nancy is doing in that portfolio every day. Every single day. We should know what she's doing in that portfolio, right? Because, I think that it would be dishonest to believe that these people are just going into these political positions not understanding the advantage that they will have, right, with a lot of insider information about certain companies, right, that the public just will not have because a lot of these discussions are behind closed doors and whatnot. So here we go with Ron Johnson, and they're debating this, right? You give it a fair debate, and because Ron Johnson is challenging Josh Hawley and even Rand Paul, and I like Rand Paul. Like when Rand Paul is on the mic, kind of like, let's hold up, red flag here. Let's make sure we have all the clarity that we need. When Rand Paul is on the mic, I tend to kind of listen because
Senator Hawley,
he seems very reasonable to me, regardless of what you think about Rand Paul.
Divest from what?
Stocks.
I don't know what the state of the president's, the former president's current portfolio is. Whoever is elected president would have multiple years to comply. But I do know there's always an excuse for why we can't do a stock bill. I've heard this for years. And now we're being told, oh, this was drafted hastily. That's just simply false. I mean, we've worked on this for literally years. So I would just welcome those who now suddenly have concerns. Where have you been for the last few years? And listen, I'm happy to work with you as this moves to the floor. We can always do a substitute amendment. That's fine. But I am 100% committed to banning stock trading by members of Congress. So I'm not going to be dissuaded from that one way or...
Okay, put a 1 in the chat if you believe that stock trading should be prohibited by members of Congress. You can either hit that like button. Thank you so much, Donovan Baker. I see you. What's up, chat? My sensible people in the chat, not the trolls or the feds or the demon people, but all my sensible folks who come here to have a good conversation. Big ups to you. I'm not over here to inflame you or validate any position that you have, because I have my own, and I don't expect for you to be on my bandwagon of thought. Just don't expect me to be on yours, and we will be a-okay and get along just fine, right? You start trolling my chat, we gonna have to insult you and get you out of here. All right? But anyways, what's up? David O'Connor, he believes that this should be restricted, and I can't really see my chat actively on here, so let me go back so I can engage with you guys. I've been getting pinged for not engaging with my chat. And here's the thing. If I'm on a train of thought and I want to stay there, I'm not going to look at the chat, because then I'll look at something stupid. I'll see a troll doing their little demon thing because the conversation is irritating the demon in their souls, right? And then I got to check them, correct them. And if I don't have any mods in here, then I got to do all of it myself. So I don't see any of my mods here. I see you, Patricia. Patricia believes that it should be restricted. I concur with you. That is, you can't even, that is the most unfairest advantage that, people, that the public has, is that the people that you're electing has insider information, and they're actively trading, some of them, on that. I see you, Mark David. And you want to talk about the integrity of the market. We need integrity in the market. And if we're going to have regulations, and if we're going to be doing things that, if we're going to have all these rules for the public, right, they have to apply to the people in Congress, the people who are being elected. Matter of fact, these people are the examples to the public. The last people, in this system, this monetary system that should be trading on insider information, should be the people that we have trusted to work in our best interest, making decisions in our best interest. But when you're actively trading, right, to me, you are compromisable in some extent. You are compromisable in some extent. And I think, and there was a great comment underneath here. I was just reading some of the comments on here, and this guy said, he quoted Harry Truman. And Truman said, "Show me a man that gets rich by being a politician, and I'll show you a crook." Boy, was Truman on point with that, because some of these people are slimy as hell. They don't care about the general public. They care about their people, short squeezing the general public, losing a lot of damn money, and then taxing our asses to compensate for it because they can, right? So we got a lot of crooked folks in our government, and I do think that mitigation strategies need to be in place to make sure that we have free and fair markets. And I don't think it's free and fair when you have elected officials who are, in some cases, trading on insider information that the public does not have. And again, our favorite homemaker was sent to jail doing shit like that. And yet these people are sitting up here with immunity in certain extents because they're elected officials. It's disgusting. It's really disgusting.
Way or another. And we can throw up as much chaff as you want to, but the fact of the matter is, members of Congress should not be trading stock. They should not be. And I know that there are those on this panel who have never supported and are never going to support a stock trade ban. And that's completely fine. That's your prerogative. But let's not pretend that this is about anything other than that. That's what this is about.
But what about banning of owning of your business? I got a family, I don't, but let's say I have a family business and it's got 1,000 employees and I own it. I have to divest in that. Do you think that's a good part of your bill?
Is that the current, Mr. Chairman? Listen, I'm happy to work with anybody who has concerns on substance, who would actually like to get to a result on this and thinks that we'll improve it on the floor. I'm delighted to work with you on it.
Can I make a suggestion to solve this? Don't force divestiture. You run for office, you have a stock portfolio, that's it. Now you can't trade it. Okay, you can't buy more stocks and trade stocks, so you want to run for, you can hold on to your stocks. Okay? You can always divest. Okay? You can always buy an ETF. Don't force people to sell their business. Don't force them to sell stocks they already hold. Don't force divestiture. Once you're here, you can't be buying and selling. Again, I don't do it.
See, I agree
did
with
divest.
that.
turned all to
I do
cash.
feel like that's a great compromise.
so
Compromise, you guys. Like, I don't know how people feel about that. What Ron Johnson said, but I feel like that is a good compromise, right? Because there are people who have inherited stocks, and those stocks mean a lot to them, right? I've worked with somebody who was her dad was heavily invested in this motorcycle company, and he passed on, and she inherited his stock portfolio, and it was a hard thing for her to sell those stocks, so she just has been holding on to them. And there is a lot of people like that. They inherited stocks that meant a lot to somebody that they loved, and so they don't obviously they don't want to let them go. I mean, and again, I believe that once you get in office, you should not be actively trading. You are literally in a hold status, or you are pivoting, to Ron Johnson's point, to things that are not market tied or market driven. I agree with that. Let me get to the comments and see what you guys think about that. Where did I go? Here did you go? Okay, there you go. All right, what's up, chat? I see you guys. Let's see. Mike Jones, I don't know what you talking about, but if that is an insult, you got one more and you getting your ass out of here. We just gonna call you out, Mike Jones, right? We're not gonna be playing with you, Ratatouille demons. Okay, look at it. Let's see. Okay, you said don't smash that like button. You said don't smash the like button, Donovan. Okay, sounds like you're a hater, so we're gonna go ahead and get rid of you. I don't know why these people just come in trolling. You could just be facilitating some conversation, and then here come the devil and his kids. What's up, Info Warrior? I see you. Thank you for joining here. Please insult these people and block them from this channel. Anybody who's trolling. You said they will use their spouse or their kids to get around it. Actually, there's ways in which you can stop that too. You can actually stop that too, because there's certain rules already in place where you can't leverage your immediate spouse or somebody in your immediate family, right? So they're gonna have to really do a lot of walk around. So that's it. I think that however the bill is articulated, it needs to kind of stay with the same formula of other maybe rules, financial rules, that places restrictions even down to immediate families. That's the way they're going to have to really solidify this bill if they're trying to make it fair for everyone, and if they're really trying to address this ongoing problem of insider stock trading within these governmental groups. So, they're going to have to kind of go within the same, they're probably going to have to talk to the financial regulators on how to really make this proposed bill make sense for everyone, and make it fair. But, I think that personally, members of Congress should have to not, in higher measurements, they have to abide by the same standards as financial advisors, and many other people in the financial services industry is heavily regulated. The regulations have only, gotten heavier, and I don't mind regulations when they are mitigating ongoing problems of systems of unfairness, and systems that, requires things to be fair and balanced. I don't mind regulations to check that. So hopefully, whoever is writing these bills for, the Senate or the Congress, these people are including the regulators in there for their inputs on how these restrictions within Congress should work. Because I'm pretty sure they would hold them to the same standards, disclosure standards, as financial advisors or financial services folks. But let's go ahead. They still debating.
That's how I handled myself. I don't want to force what I did on everybody else, though. Not everybody's in my position. I don't want to turn Congress into rich man's club. And by the way, I certainly don't want to impose a self-flagellation on other branches of government. We can do this to ourselves. I don't think we should do it to the executive branch or the judicial branch.
Congress is a rich man's club. That's the problem. That's what we're trying to fix. I would suspect that I probably have the fewest assets of anybody sitting on this dais. I am not a rich man.
Okay, so Josh Hawley says that Congress is a rich man's club, and he is putting his own net worth on the table. He says that he probably has the fewest assets of anybody sitting there. Josh Hawley, let's see. How long have you been in the government? Sorry, I got to do a Josh Hawley stock now because he's coming off as the Marcus Aurelius for the market. So let's see what's going on with you, Marcus Aurelius. All right. It looks like he comes from a family of bankers. He's a lawyer, so he probably knows his way around the financial system pretty well, coming from legacy, a family of bankers. Okay. What's your network, bro? Let's go over this. All right. Josh Hawley has a net worth of 21 million. Bro, you are freaking exaggerating right now on that panel talking about you are not a rich man. And it has grown significantly in the past 4 years. Hawley earns an annual salary of $174,000. Okay, Josh. So he said Hawley has made huge bucks in the stock markets, just like AOC or MTG. Okay, so I see what you're doing, Josh. I see what Josh is saying. He's like, yeah, you shouldn't trade, but it's like he's trading futures and derivatives. All right. So, all right. I got you. I see what you're doing, Josh. It's like the teapot calling the kettle black. And someone trades. Okay, yeah, I know what derivatives are. All right. According to reports, Hawley made over $4 million a couple of years ago by shorting the stock of Silicon Valley Bank. All right. Let's hear what you're saying, dude. Let's hear what you're saying.
Man's club. That's the problem. That's what we're trying to fix. I would suspect that I probably have the fewest assets of anybody sitting on this dais. I am not a rich man, unlike those to my left.
Is $21 million not rich these days? I know inflation is there, but is that like rich men in comparison to other rich men, or like rich men as a comparison to like regular folks on the block? Like, I'm just trying to understand, what metrics of him not being a rich man, and we're seeing a net worth of 21 million. And there was something else. What was this? All right, so I guess these are from his disclosures. 21 million net worth, 10 million in assets. He's inherited $60,000, which really doesn't, unless he was just flipping them derivatives to the point he got them. $4 million is his annual income. So Josh Hawley, I don't know what standard of not rich man you are, but bro, you definitely not a broke, poor, or median income man. You're not even like a higher net worth type of people. Like, you're like ultra net worth, dude. So I don't know.
So, listen, The American people look at people like the former Speaker of the House, who makes better returns than anybody in America. They look at senators who were investigated during the COVID pandemic for their miraculous stock trades, and they say, how is this possible? To think that this might become a problem in the future is frankly fanciful. It's a problem now. It is, and it's not just in perception, it is reality. Members of Congress are trading daily based on information that the public doesn't have. And now we've heard the insider trading. I understand that insider trading is banned, but let's be honest. Members of Congress get information that is technically not insider information as defined by the securities laws, that is nevertheless extremely beneficial to know. And often we get it earlier than other people do. That's why senators rushed to trade stock at the beginning of the pandemic and were investigated for it. Ultimately couldn't be prosecuted because technically it wasn't a violation of the securities laws. Was it a good idea? No. Should it be happening? I submit that it should not be. So again, I just want to say to anybody who would like to support this bill but says I have concerns over technical aspects of the drafting, I hear you loud and clear, and I'm happy to work with you on that.
Answering your question, former President Trump owns 114 million shares of Trump Media and Technology Group Corp., worth $3.776 billion. He would be required to divest that. All right? That would be at a massive disadvantage for him. Not to mention his other investments. So you have Senator Johnson has proposed, what makes a lot of sense, which is to say, if you have investments, you don't have to sell them to run for office. You can't trade. But I didn't say this bill wasn't drafted quickly or hastily. I said it was drafted poorly. All right. There are a number of things the bill does which ought to be done, which I would support. But causing people that are running for office, including the President of the United States, to have to divest of all their public and private enterprise securities is simply something that's a mistake and would prevent people from running from office, including the person who's the Republican nominee for president.
So, Mitt Romney's he's gonna defend this until the cows come home, right? Because he's looking out for his buddies. He like, look, okay, none of my friends are gonna buy this, all right? So let's just be clear. Like, we can all still do this, but just when you get here, you can't do, like, they've already made their money doing this shit, right? So they can take a virtuous, sort of approach to it now, because people coming in, right? They're just making sure that anybody else coming into Congress do not enrich themselves from the insider information, as many of them and their counterparts have done. And that's really what it is. Like, this is a conversation because obviously, a lot of people on the street have noticed it, right? We can't deny that Nancy Pelosi is, called Wall Street Nancy for a reason. And that people have gone into they have been elected into office to enrich themselves. Like, to me, I feel like some of these people are going into office to really just get insider information. It's giving, I'm going to be mediocre at this job, an ass in a seat. I'll vote however anybody wants me to, but I'm here for the insider information, right? That is what it's giving. And I mean, I can get why this conversation is being facilitated, but it's almost like these people some of these people are saying, oh yeah, I get that we need to have this, like term limits. Like, everybody know we should have term limits, right? But these people will dance around all kind of other stupid issues before they seriously address the fact that many of the people who have been a part of ruining this nation are still asses in a seat in the government. And it's just ridiculous. I don't know if it's a failure on their constituents' part or what it is, but we need term limits. And in order to, if they're not going to create term limits, then obviously we, the people, have to turn these people out. So what you do is you look at this person, forget about the fact that you like the person. They seem like a nice guy, right? They hail to all your political points. Look at their deliveries. If you don't see the deliveries in a reasonable duration of time, and I would say give some of these people a chance with a 4-year marker, right? If you don't see substantial deliveries You see them on the bandwagon of stupid ideologies that, usurps the Constitution, usurps people's freedoms. Get them out. Get them out. Who cares if they're a career politician? Who cares if they're old as hell? One thing we know about these politicians who are old as dinosaur fossils is that they've enriched themselves and their families 10 times over. So we never have to worry about those folks eating. They just need to sort of do right by their fixed income at that point, because they won't be getting more. And they'll still have their buddies in Congress and all those connections to give them insider information to help them know how to move. So those fossils need to be taken out of the game. Like, I mean, I don't understand why Mitch McConnell, looking old as hell, he looks like he's walking life support, and these people are still trying to keep this man holding on to position in government. The Democrats will let somebody be on hospice and still try to think it's virtuous keeping them in their position, knowing that business in America needs to be taken care of. These people are weird. They're just freaking weird.
Senator Marshall, recognized for comments, and then Senator Langford, you're next.
So thank you, Mr. Chairman. Certainly, I acknowledge the issue you all are describing, but I'm still going to support this bill. I think it's important enough that we get it to the next step, and hopefully the process can improve it. I would be impacted by the current legislation and have to divest myself of companies that we own prior to getting here. I agree with you completely, but I think this is so important. We need to move forward. My only wish is that we would have included spouses the moment it impacts us, because that's where it's being abused, is on spouses making some of these trades. When you have hundreds of thousands of people following a spouse's member of Congress,
Somebody just
through a
mentioned
Twitter
spouses
feed,
earlier in the
obviously there is
chat.
a
There you
problem.
go.
So I'm ready to move forward with
They
it.
said the
Appreciate
biggest
everyone.
abuse is not even the politicians themselves. It is their spouses who are facilitating these trades. So, it's a lot of work to be done. I don't know what you all feel. Some people may have mixed feelings about this. My position is that once you are elected, I don't believe that you should divest from any company, but I definitely think that there should be, strict limitations on what you can do with that company during the duration of your term. So if you have a family company and it has over 1,000 employees, which would not make it a small business, it'd be a medium business, then there should be certain limitations or restrictions placed on that company or business in some extent, with that type of like if that person is going to continue to have be a shareholder in that business. And again, I think that no trading during the course of your term by you or your spouse or even your kids. And I think that they should definitely place those limits on people's nuclear families down to siblings and parents, aunts and uncles as well. And that just really eliminates a lot of this insider trading stuff that they see. So I think they should be specific. I don't think they should make these people divest, though. They just can't trade. They can't actively trade anything. Like, they're just going to have to be in a hold status. And that's the risk that they're going to take with their career in Congress, is that they're literally going to have a portfolio that is sitting there, in a hold status of securities that are trading on the market, whether or not they're doing good or bad. And that's why Ron Johnson was saying, I pivoted to cash or ETFs, right? Because obviously they're not going to be able to trade anymore. So we will see what happens with these folks. They're not very happy about some of these, senators and Congress folks. You can tell that they are not happy about this conversation, these new rules. And we shall see. But I think this needs to be addressed, and term limits need to be addressed. And those are really, to me, governmental operational discussions that I really like to see regularly facilitated so you get an idea of what all of these people think about these things that a lot of Americans feel like are necessary anyways within the government. So yeah, moving on. You know, you probably have your favorite YouTubers, right? Alarm beeping. Wow, you are like really, I guess it is beeping. I got to change the battery, but I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to have somebody else climb up there and do it. But what did you say? Critical race theory and defund the police didn't help Kamala. I don't think it was an intention for it to. Um, let's see. You said Nancy Pelosi 240 million. I'm telling you, that woman really knew how to freak the market since she been up in the government. You said I don't have on a wig, Alan Waters, but did you get your face from the garbage? Stop coming up in my chats asking stupid ass questions. Right? I'm just going to insult these people every time. Let's see. Anybody would be better than, I don't know. What is it? Glenn the poet. You say anybody would be better than Donald Trump. I don't know. We saw Joe Biden and Kamala Harris the last 4 years, and they just ran us into wars and all kinds of dumb shit. So I think anybody would be better than the current administration from my perspective. Too many emotionally irrational people running the show. But anyways, there's a number of YouTubers. I just started taking my YouTube channel seriously. I used to be very random. Now I try to drop a video at least every day to show some commitment to facilitating rational conversations with people who want to just hear common sense, middle of the road perspective. I'm not on any bandwagon of ignorance. So if you're a lemming to a cause, this probably isn't the channel for you. But anyways, I know that there's a lot of voices out there. I do respect diversity of opinions and voices. Even when somebody doesn't agree with me, depending on how you articulate it, I'm okay with people disagreeing, but you're not going to come up with some ad hominem attacks, right? Because that's not disagreeing. You're being insulting, and we got to get your ass out of the conversation at that point because we don't do that over here. So, but there's so many people that are online, different podcasters, and their mission really seems to be to get into the ignorance and the emotions of people, right? And I think that when you think about perpetuated narratives, stereotypes about different people and groups in America, there are people who can kind of go live every day, interact with diverse people, not really thinking about some of these things that when you get into the media machine, they really want you thinking about, centered about, and they even have their characters and their actors on board to make sure that you are introduced to these seeds of hate and ignorance. And so like I said, when I started taking my YouTube channel seriously, which is, I would say maybe regularly this year, consistently a couple of years ago, I started being more consistent on it. I started noticing different types of content creators. And, the one thing about some of these content creators is they'll say certain things that, this is a valid point, or this is a talking point, or reoccurring talking point. But then some people, they'll be saying things with an intention to fuel an idea or a stereotype. And I think that, on the liberal side, I've noticed they do a great job of facilitating the racism stereotypes. They do a really good job of fear mongering among the racists, right? They love racial division. That is their thing, right? They foster it. And I used to think that this was something that only the liberals did, right? But then I realized that obviously we're talking about a pendulum, right? So there's two sides to a coin here. And so when I pivoted going more into listening to conservative think tanks in 2020 because I just felt like a lot of the things that the liberals were perpetuating were just too reoccurring. The patterns really didn't lie for me. And I just really didn't like, the liberal perspective on anything, right? So then I go over to the conservative side, and I literally saw the same things, but with a slick virtue. And I started studying these people because I believe in studying people, understanding kind of where they're coming from, what their intent is, and even what their purpose is and being propped and projected to the American people. And so, when you get into the independent media space, right, it can be a little bit more difficult to sort of weave out these psyops, right? Because that's ultimately what I think a lot of people in the media machines are, whether it's broadcast media, social media. It doesn't matter. There's a lot of psyops on these platforms. And some of these psyops, their intent is to maintain certain idealisms in America, cater to certain groups in America, especially their ignorant ideologies. So this guy, Myron Gaines, he is a Trump loyalist. He is a black looking immigrant. He's not a product of freemen. He is an immigrant from a third world country, Sudan. And no stab to the folks in Sudan. Unfortunately, Myron is over here in America doing a great job of making your people look bad on this soil. So this Sudanese immigrant who is on America's soil, he actually, I believe, I think he worked in Homeland Security. They love drafting these immigrants who are not loyal to Rome into the fold, right? And a lot of these people can be leveraged to sow division. And I think that a person like Myron Gaines, he goes so hard, with his black looking face. He looks like one of those things from The Lion King, those hyenas, like what do Kwame Brown called Charlemagne, the patch-eyed demons. They look like patch-eyed demons to me. Myron looks like a patch-eyed demon to me. And he has so much smoke for Black Americans. And I've seen little clips, and I don't follow Myron Gaines. What I do is I look at Myron Gaines. I see Myron Gaines pop up in my feeds because people are pretty much talking about him and his absurdity. And so every now and then I'll see a clip of this guy spazzing out, and he's really on his knee pads. He's really on his knees for the segment of white America that hates blacks and Jews, right? He's shilling hard for that segment of America that absolutely hates blacks and Jews. And so he's stirring the pot, right? And he loves talking about black people the most, right? He has to kind of nitpick with the Jews, but he's upset that he can't really talk about the Jews like that, right? Because they don't demonetize his ass all over the platforms that they own, right? But he loves going in on black people. So recently he had a black woman on his show, and obviously people like Myron, they will, and I don't even know why black people, you cannot be some of these low value folks, you cannot be that low value that you will go onto a show like this guy's knowing that he's going to degrade you, knowing that he's going to denigrate you, knowing that he has deep rooted stereotypes about black people on his lips constantly. So these black people going on to this immigrants show this immigrant talking crap about freemen, right? You don't have any self-respect. So shame on you for even giving that thing your time. But here we go. Some people are suckers for punishment. They know that when they go onto a Myron Gaines podcast platform, that he's going to do everything he can to bring out the stereotype of Black people in some kind of way. Even if the Black person isn't giving him the stereotype, he's going to work hard to bring the stereotype out of Black people. And it's so funny that these people will say, oh, Black people are unhinged. Black people are this, making all these arguments, but you were literally sitting up there in the guise of having a conversation about a bogus topic. You are literally doing everything you can to antagonize this Black woman so that she can meet this idea of a stereotype that you need to project onto your audience. And that's exactly what Myron is trying to specialize in doing. And I gotta believe that even the white supremacist is looking at his patch-eyed demon-looking ass like he's fruity as hell. This is a beta male coat because you done lost and been demonetized all over the damn YouTube planet. The white supremacists themselves have asked your ass to leave America, promised that you will leave America when Trump was elected because you are an immigrant, right? And they don't want your Black looking ass here either, right? And so these people, some of these immigrants, not all immigrants, no stab to the immigrants who have come here legally and gone through the process, right? Those who have gone through the right channels of asylum, no stab to you, right? But some of these fleeing people, they flee their countries, they come over here to America talking cash shit about Black people, and they think that that's going to be tolerated. See, Myron is safe behind his computer. Myron is probably watching his back every time he walks the street. He'll probably lie, try to look like a tough guy, right? Like he's not scared that when he gets into the right crowd, he's going to get sneakoed, or probably worse than sneako. Because everybody knows what happened when Sneeko got his ass on the block, on the streets, off the internet, and came into Detroit talking that white supremacist stuff. He got laid the fuck out. And so Myron is on the internet talking cash shit about Black people, Black women, right? But he knows he's not safe in these streets. And the problem with some of these beta men is they talk cash shit, they antagonize situation, and then the first thing they will do is disrespect the Second Amendment. Disrespect the Second Amendment because you can't go toe to toe with another man with your hands. This is bitch-like behavior, and I want you guys to hear what a wannabe racist, Black-looking patch-eyed demon shilling for white supremacists sound like.
A lot of Black people are mad at him for what he did.
So
to
don't
Black
take a
women,
lot of these
calling for all
immigrants
kinds of names
too
and everything
seriously
right? He's been
sometimes,
calling-
because
he's
a lot
been
of them,
complaining
they
about the fact
hate
that his
Black
DMs are
people
flooded with
just
people
as
saying,
much
"Yo, I'll come fight
as some
for
of
each
these
one."
little
Things like
small
Black people are
segment
so
of white
violent.
folks.
You Black people can't fucking scare me, bro. Oh, we gonna fight where you at. We gonna come to you. Ooh, come.
How unhinged does this thing sound? Like, we really do need to do better vetting of the people that come to this nation, right? Because then we'll inherit this piece of shit.
Do it. F***. Come do it. Keep calling you monkeys like I'm Frieza.
Myron is only fans for racists.
Yes.
That's great. Shout out to Abba and Preach. Myron is only fans for a racist. He's a spectacle. He's a Black looking face talking about Black people so that he can be like masturbation ammo for some racists in a trailer park somewhere in America. Right? This is who his audience really is. He's not appealing to the intelligent white folks because they wouldn't give him the time of day. They just wouldn't. I don't know not one intelligent white person who even knows who the hell this dude is. They just don't, right? Myron is literally that small segment of white people who hold on to supremacy, thinking in America, those diseases, he's their bitch. He's their talking head. Okay, this guy is unhinged, right? He literally will go and antagonize a black people, this black woman, just so he can get a soundbite for his white daddies, right? This dude is pathetic. He's pathetic. And I just look at people like him as a big psyop, and that's just it. My last talking point that I wanted to kind of, obviously the Democrats are still coping with the loss of Kamala Harris, and the black Democrats are really, really just emotional. And I don't know what drug somebody gave some of these folks to believe that Kamala Harris was like somehow a beacon, right? But poor Jenifer Lewis, and I used to like Jenifer. I like Jenifer Lewis. I've liked her work. I don't know her personally. I've liked her work in the past. And it sucks when you see some of the celebrities that you had some level of respect for sort of pivot into these extreme political positions, because it really just kind of degrades everything that you liked about them at that point. It makes them look compromisable, and you really don't care to deal with their work anymore. So a lot of these celebrities are really putting a risk to their legacy and their careers by shilling for these political positions and these parties, right? I think that, again, Beyonce came out to shill for Kamala Harris because the money was right. Oprah came out to shill for Kamala Harris because they felt like the money was right. And I don't think this is things that Jenifer Lewis is really processing, that your favorite blackface woman needed to be paid just to show up for this woman that you felt like was just going to be so great for this nation. So what you talking about, Jenifer?
What they've said in terms of black, particularly black men and Latinos, supported him more than they have in the past. Why do you think that is, and what do you have to say to black men and Latinos who were not in favor of supporting Kamala Harris?
Oh, honey. Oh,
And
honey.
scene.
When your favorite niece and your 13-year-old daughter is raped by your alcoholic brother. What? Or the next door neighbor.
And shout out to black conservatives.
And she tries to abort that baby inside of her.
Now, here's the thing. There are a lot of scenarios like that. You have a lot of creepy, disgusting people who do really horrible things to their children. Some of them are occult. Some of them are just products of ignorant environments. And you do have rare scenarios in which, young women are being sexualized by individuals in their family, and even in many cases molested to the point of getting pregnant. That is a scenario. But, I think that people tend to forget, that, incest and sexual violations. I mean, YouTube, I don't understand why you can't say usual suspect words on YouTube anymore. But, and even medical conditions, those have always been conditions or instances, in which abortions would be allowed. And I think that Democrats keep exaggerating. Oh, this young woman just died because she couldn't get an abortion for a pregnancy. First of all, these people act like pregnancy is a disability and a disease. Women have been getting pregnant for ages. They have been traveling, being able to be pregnant. I worked up into my due dates with all of my kids. So, I mean, I hate it when these people are acting like pregnancy is such a disability, right, that you can't take your ass to another state to deal with your actions, right? You got to be accountable for your actions most times. More times than not, people are not getting abortions or terminating children because of these scenarios. They are leveraging abortion as a form of birth control when they just took up with the wrong guy that really wasn't really interested in anything other than a thing between their legs. And a lot of these women just, they're like, okay, I made this mistake. I gave of myself freely. I didn't protect my own self because it's my body, my choice to not be conscious about going out in these streets, opening my legs to every Tom, Dick, and Harry, and not protecting myself. Now I need laws and regulations and stuff to protect me from having the consequences of my decision. Again, if your state has extreme abortion bans, the light at the end of the tunnel is that there are a lot of Democratic states that don't. Take a road trip, take a plane, get on over to one of those, handle your business, get back home so you can hold another day, and hopefully you've learned your lesson. And that's really what the abortion argument is in totality. We're not talking about extreme medical instances. We're not talking about rape and incest in most cases, unless you're dealing with the occults. And the people who are into that child sacrifice and trafficking stuff, they really need it more than anybody because they just, they're impregnating their family members, right? But this woman is sad.
From a rape.
This isn't an emotion. This is a fear-mongering emotional
First and
appeal.
foremost, that doesn't happen. Only
it does happen. It actually does happen. It does happen, Greg.
They didn't care.
It absolutely does happen. It just doesn't happen to the extent that she's saying it for us to be creating laws, or modifying laws. And what she's saying is actually instances that are actually exceptions to many of these bans. So again, this is fear-mongering, emotional appealing to a demographic of people who are already devastated by a sweeping of their candidate.
Educated, beautiful, kind, joyful, fearless. She would have taken care of this country.
Okay, who paid Jenifer Lewis to say this shit about Kamala Harris? Who paid her? The joyful? Yeah, I can kind of get that. She just looked like a nervous wreck playing a part the entire time, being puppeted. There was nothing fearless about Kamala Harris, and she has to be real about that.
Educated, beautiful, kind, joyful.
I mean, here's the thing. I don't know Kamala Harris personally. She doesn't seem like a terrible person, like I said. But she wasn't the sharpest tool in the shed. Educated is subjective. Obviously, these liberal people like to think that their indoctrination hubs like Harvard and Princeton and Cambridge really makes people educated these days, when half of these people don't have the common sense to know when a deputy campaign manager is promising them that people like Kamala Harris can actually win against a rock star like Donald Trump, and that they can make Kamala Harris likable in 3 months if these people just give them millions and billions of dollars, and she still lost, right? I think we need to be real about things, Jenifer. I like you. I like your work, honey, right? But you are on a cope right now. You are on a cope. You are coping your ass off.
Fearless. She would have taken care of this country.
Fearless. This is why she refused
Now go ahead, Greg.
to do interviews at the beginning of her campaign, right? This is why she didn't want to go on Joe Rogan. Okay, fearless. Okay, that is not the adjective that I would use to describe Kamala Harris. Okay, that's
I'm
one
gonna have
of
to
the last
concur with that.
adjectives that I would use to describe her.
She's not a strong black woman, not even a strong black looking woman, right? She definitely took the notes from the other side. Well, I don't know what side she's taking. None of them are Freeman's side. So I don't know. She wasn't a strong black American woman. We knew that for sure. We're just a different breed, honey. She didn't have the sauce. She did not have the sauce. Anybody that believed that Kamala Harris had the black woman sauce, you were crazy. You were buying into an illusion. You were buying into anything that wasn't a white man. And it was sad. They gave you a bag of garbage as opposed to this white man. And y'all bit the bait, right? Sounding silly as hell now.
Minds.
Yeah, like her campaign team, right? The same team that
Would you
used
say,
to describe
Jenifer?
Kamala Harris. Okay, that's one of the last adjectives,
Founded
right? The same team.
herself with great minds.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with him.
Yeah, like her campaign team, right? The same team that spent over $1.5 billion and ended up $20 million in that. Yeah, she was surrounded by a great team, right? The great.
It wasn't to me. It's not even about how the money was spent for me. Kamala Harris's campaign team, they were like, they literally were either oblivious to the fact that she had zero chance. They knew that she had zero chance, and they went and they started just raising money from people and selling a dream that they knew that they couldn't deliver on. But yet, and still, her deputy campaign manager was out here, according to Lindy Lee, the DNC finance manager, who's singing like a canary everywhere. She was promising. This is as much as you hear these donors on the mic, and I do feel bad for some of the donors, even though, again, if you donate it based off of a promise of an outcome of election, you deserve it. I don't feel too bad for you. But this does raise bigger questions, right? Because I think sometimes the Democrat donors, or even their base, they are probably used to people cheating, right? And so maybe they thought that they were going to cheat this time around, and Kamala Harris was going to be able to pull it off. I actually had it in the back of my mind that something was going to go weird in this election. The writing was clearly on the wall. Donald J. Trump was going to win this, but the Democrats were so slick that I'm like, okay, let me just see. But, it was just looking clearer and clearer that Trump was going to win, and that nobody was going to be pulling no old okey doke, that it seems like we had a very organic election this year. And I'm not just saying that because Trump won. I'm saying it because it didn't have a lot of the weird stuff that we saw, in 2020. But her campaign team did not see the same writing on the wall as your regular Joe American, who was not probably paid nearly as much money to consult Kamala Harris to her pathetic loss.
Great team that told her
we had to show her as her own person and point to the future. And
and they did not show Kamala Harris as her own person. They didn't even let her organically be herself. They had her robotically repeating some things on cue, right? And they are paint the narrative that she's disciplined, right, as opposed to being scripted. Right? The woman really had a hard time freestyling. And even Greg Foreman, I think you mentioned it in this video or another video, that I think when he was talking about Kamala Harris being drunk possibly, he was saying that there were certain individuals from her camp that was saying that she deals with high anxiety. And so maybe she was taking some medications for her anxiety before she did that little Zoom call with Tim Walz. But regardless, this shows you that the Democrats are propping up Make-A-Wish Foundation type people. They're not like propping up firm convicted characters that have, just high levels of intelligence to really come in and just own a function. They're looking for people to puppet, and they've been puppeting their people for so long that now they have nobody else. And so it's going to be interesting to see how, the Democratic Party starts taking more ownership. They got to take more ownership in what they're doing to their people and their base. They want lemmings. They want controllable assets, and it's just never going to work for them. It's just never going to work for them. Let me check out and shout out Black Conservative Perspective for talking about this. He's talking about a Democrat actress loses her
The
mind
economy, looking
over
at
a non-white
inflation,
man refusing
looking
to
at
vote
crime
for
and saying,
Trump.
providing and protecting. As men, that's what we want. And as a result of that, I voted for her. I wasn't voting for him. But speaking to
Stephen A is a clown, bro. Every single time he comes out and says that he voted for Kamala Harris, as if that's like a badge of honor, it's crazy.
No, it's not a badge of honor. It's a badge of I need future coins from the Democratic order. And so I have to kind of toe the lines here. But at the same time, I got to come out and say, I voted for Kamala because Stephen A. Smith understands how to play the game and he needs them future tokens. And nobody gives out more tokens than the Democrats.
It's crazy to me because this guy clearly can't read.
I mean, I will say that it is a better advantage being black on the Democratic side of the aisle because they definitely pay for friendships. They definitely put the money on the table to make something happen that they want, no matter how irrational or unreasonable it may seem. The Democrats will hold no expense, as we've seen from Kamala, to try to make something happen. Kamala Harris was a $2 billion gamble, and they lost.
Read the room. Again, I think it has is any indication that he might support Trump or anything like that, then he's gonna get cooked, right? He's gonna get cooked. But I just would stop saying that.
No,
Think
Stephen
about
A.
stuff they
Smith
thought
is
about.
gonna say that until the cows come home because he want them tokens.
The economy,
It's like Greg
money in their
Foreman
pockets,
not
and
talking
safety in the
favorably
streets.
about Trump all the damn
listen.
It
time,
couldn't have been as simple as
or
that.
going in on Democrats.
First of all, do you see women breaking in people's
That's how you
houses?
get your tokens, dude.
Do you see women shooting each other in the streets? They voted because they voted for Trump because, I hate saying his name. They voted for him because they hate themselves. And they see this thing as powerful, that he's going to move mountains for them and make them rich. And unfortunately, black men, they want a man. They were saying, I'm voting for the man.
Democrats are really putting it out there that people voted for Trump because they believe that they're going to be rich. And I don't think that was on the mind of most working class people. They're like, I just don't want to be short squeezed from the little money that I do get. Like, I think that's really what was on the minds of most people who voted for Trump. They were tired of the inflation. They were tired of the financial mismanagement of this nation. And they took a gamble with a different devil, right? Sometimes, see, Democrats, black people, right? Because, let's just call a spade a spade. Kamala Harris still got overwhelmingly a lot of black votes. But I think what made, Trump better is that, historically, I would say in the last, few decades, he was able to tap into the black vote higher than most Republicans that came before him. And so that was the historical aspect about Trump, is that he was able to crack into the black vote when other Republicans could not. They were getting like, 8%, right? To go from Republicans getting like 8%, 7% of the black vote to 20%, that's a notable jump. That's a notable jump. And again, Democrats are going to fearmonger, but sometimes I think with Democrat fearmongering too, they actually will start creating scenarios of the fear. They coordinate and they demonize in so many different ways the American public. And I can see them actually organizing some black man getting shot in the back by a white man and calling it a MAGA thing, or having some white cop brutally beat some black cop or whatever. And then with the Trump immunity thing, this cop getting off scot-free. I can see them freaking the minds of Americans all kinds of ways. So we shall see. Lots of fear mongering. And usually when the Democrats are fear mongering reoccurrently, especially about race relations, I can almost guarantee that there's going to be another George Floyd-like scenario coming down the pipeline. But anyways, you guys, thanks for tuning in. Let me jump into the comments. I had to get through these little things without interruption because I already had some of the trolls in there. A little passionately ignorant folks. All right, here we go. And I see you. Thank you, Info Warrior, for moderating. I see you. I see you. I see you. Give some love to my mod because he's awesome. He looks out for you, girl. You said, where is Myron? I don't know where that patch-eyed demon is. I just see little clips of people talking shit about the pathetic thing. Let's see. Why are people so obsessed about P. Diddy? You need to be obsessed with Jeffrey Epstein. That's where the real dirt is. I don't care about celebrities. We already kind of feel like like Hollywood life and these Hollywood deviants, they're weird anyways. I want to see the people who try to act like they are higher esteemed in society and yet they're hidden pedophiles. So I don't care about Diddy's list. I care about Epstein's list, right? But we're never going to get that because obviously, if we did, so many things would crash in America because that's how many pedophiles are protected at elite levels in this nation. Truly satanic. Truly satanic nation. But God is going to take care of all these devils and their offspring. That's exactly the thing, you know. So Lucifer, he's doing his thing on these last rites of earth, but you know, just like in the days of Noah, you know, these wicked people, these wicked beings, they had mankind distracted with this and that. And then, you know, here, you know, the prophecy says that when mankind says peace and security, then suddenly the great day of God will come upon them. So, we'll see. We'll see. We'll see what happens in the future. But keep your prayers up if you are a believer. You know, end time prophecies do not have to be scary and devastating if you're on the right side of the covenant. But for those of you who are not, I pray for you. I pray for those of your offspring. And we do hope that you repent in time for the great day of our Lord. And the people will say, oh, it's just fantasy. It's mentally ill to think about the Bible. Don't let Satan convince you that this is all there is, because it's the fleshly sons and the spiritual sons. And the spiritual sons have definitely been busy with mankind these days. And we see what they have been doing over there in the Middle East. We see what they're doing, you know, when it comes to Russia. And it's the battle of the demons. I think as we're talking about a one world order, right, that can only be achieved if by standards, you know, there is absolute fealty to one deity, and that one deity has a shadow of themselves in the flesh, controlling all mankind, monetary systems, right? This is where I see all this barcoding, CBDC, transhumanism. They're trying to create Nephilim 2.0s, right? You got CERN, who's like, we found the God particle. Why don't you translate that into, we found a way to materialize the demons that we worship and infuse them in technology so that we can create this transhuman mindset, you know, the sophisticated person, right? Remember, AI is nothing without humans, right? But if AI is infused with the God particle, then obviously humans don't have a chance. All right, you guys. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. I drop all the random nuggets over here. I don't do the conspiracy. I don't care about the wars among mankind too much. They're all just playing into Bible prophecy for me. So shout out to my lions. You know, if you are a part of spiritual Israel, keep your prayers up. Shabbat Shalom. I had a wonderful Sabbath day nap today. It was great. God is so true. Take that day of rest, y'all, and do not feel guilty about it, okay? When God say take the seventh day and rest, do it unapologetically. Don't feel compelled to do nothing. And I'm telling you, there's something about fasting and taking the day of rest. It's like plugging a cell phone in a wall. Your body feels rejuvenated, and then just drink a bunch of water and just reactivate your body. So you guys have a wonderful, wonderful evening. And I will catch you all on, you said your thoughts are selfish. I'm not sure how my thoughts are selfish at all, but the wicked will be wickeding and selfishly harming other people. So my thoughts are that I don't care about their demise. So there's that. So if that's they use alchemy and witchcraft at CERN, of course. I was looking at this video. That chick Jaguar Wright was talking about, Beyonce is a witch, right? And she's trying to talk all mystical, like, and she had some little thing on her neck, and she goes, you guys are so simple. It takes a witch to know a witch. And I'm just looking at this mentally ill demon like, wow, people are really taking this woman seriously. But again, I look at Jaguar Wright, I look at Allie Carter as people being brought up in a sex trafficking ring. I do think that, there is a hint of mental illness there just because they've probably been exposed to high levels of Satanism. And, that includes just ritualistically harming children for some sense of empowerment. And a lot of times these people will not do it themselves. For some reason, they think that forcing other people to do it washes their hands clean of the pure Satanism of the acts. And they're not innocent of those things. And that's why they're going to be destroyed as well. It's funny. Some people, they fear Judgment Day. I always often pray to God, like, I want to just, like, I don't want to die before Judgment Day. Like, I really want to be around to see it. And, like, I understand that I need to be protected during that day. But if you could just show me, like, the different pedophiles, if I could have that premonition vision of just at least them burning to death, that would be great. That would be great. I have things like that on my mind, just pedophiles burning. It's a thing for me. Like I think about that all the time. Not all the time, but it's a frequent thought, and who would not want to see like a gladiator type? I mean, see, Rome had it wrong. Like, I wouldn't make, criminals, battle with each other. I'd make the pedophiles battle to the death with each other. And there still wouldn't be a winner because we killed the winner, right? But again, we want to see the sport of the pedophiles, harming each other before we execute them. They're disgusting people. There's no room in any civil society for people who harm children, animals, and elderly people. And again, be happy that I'm not your leader and that the good Lord hasn't, blessed me with some type of dragon, right? Because I would be setting so many people on fires. Y'all better be glad that vengeance belongs to the Lord and not even his angels and disciples, because we be getting busy with y'all, some of us, because we're like the Jonah. Like, we just tired of these wicked ass people. We are just tired. Like, when you read the account of Jonah, and I realize, I pray on it all the time, I have the spirit of Jonah. And, when you really reflect on Jonah, he wasn't a disobedient guy. He just hated the wickedness on earth and the humans that engaged in it so much that he was repulsed by them. He felt like they were so disrespectful to the Father and his standards that they needed to be destroyed. But God was like, I am merciful, Jonah. You will go talk to those people. You will go try to change their hearts. And he was like, look at those nasty things, though, God. Like, he's like, nah, they not about to change. Jonah went the other way, right? But God had to check Jonah, right? And that's why I don't go the other way. I always do what the good Lord instructs me to do, because, it never works out well for you, not listening to your Father. So you guys have a wonderful, wonderful day, and I will catch you on the next one. Love your neighbor as yourself. If you would not disrespect or abuse yourself, do not disrespect or abuse your neighbors. Bye.